Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into a book that has genuinely changed millions of lives, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. We're going to break down its core teachings, and we'll use these slides to help guide us toward a much deeper understanding of what it means to find presence and peace.
This is it. This is the profound, kind of startling question right at the heart of Tolle's work. He suggests that the real root of all our anxiety, our suffering, our deep dissatisfaction, it all comes from one fundamental mistake. We believe that the non-stop chattering voice in our minds, you know the one that's always judging and worrying and replaying the past, we think that's who we are. But what if it's not? What if it's just a tool that's completely taken us over?
Okay, let's really get into this. Tolle says the single greatest obstacle to us experiencing any kind of inner peace is that we completely identify with our minds. And this isn't just about thinking, logically. It's about that compulsive, involuntary stream of thought that runs our lives from the background. It's the constant mental commentary, the planning, the worrying. For most of us, we don't even know there's an off switch. It's like we're suffering from what he calls a dreadful affliction. We just can't stop thinking.
And all of this constant thinking creates what Tolle calls the ego. Now, let's be clear, this isn't ego like being arrogant or thinking you're better than everyone. It's more like a phantom self, an identity that's totally constructed from our past experiences, our conditioning, and all the mental labels we stick on ourselves and others. It's a fictitious entity that literally needs constant thought to survive. It's the I in all our stories of being the victim, or our pride, or our resentment. It's a really fragile identity that's always feeling threatened, always looking for a fight to make itself feel more real.
And this right here is the core issue. We've completely lost control. The mind, which is supposed to be this incredible tool for practical tasks, has become our master. It's almost like we're possessed by this thinking entity, and we don't even realize it. We actually mistake that entity for who we truly are. And that's the fundamental delusion that keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering and unhappiness, constantly creating new problems simply because the ego needs them to exist.
So how does this egoic mind keep its grip on us? Well, it does it by denying and resisting the only thing that's actually real, the present moment. Think about it. The mind is obsessed with the past, right? That's where it gets its identity from, all those memories and grudges. And it's obsessed with the future, which holds either the promise of salvation or the threat of total disaster. The now, this very moment, gets almost completely ignored. It's just seen as a stepping stone to some more important future moment.
And this is where Tolle makes a really critical distinction. There's clock time, which is obviously necessary for the practical world. We need it to set goals, to make appointments. But then there's psychological time. And that, he says, is a disease of the mind. It's that endless loop of replaying past mistakes, or the constant anxiety about a future that hasn't even happened. It's worrying about tomorrow's big meeting while you're trying to enjoy dinner with your family tonight. That is where all our fear, stress, and sorrow actually live.
And this is what shows us the path to freedom. I mean, really think about it for a second. Nothing has ever happened in the past. It happened in a moment that was once now. And nothing will ever happen in the future. It will happen in a now. Your entire life unfolds in this one constant space. When you really, truly get that, the compulsion to live through memory and anticipation just starts to dissolve. And you find your anchor in reality, not in all those mental projections. Okay, so if we're trapped by our own minds and this illusion of time, how in the world do we get out? Well, the answer isn't to fight the mind. That just creates more conflict and noise. The answer is to rise above it. Tolle's solution is this simple but incredibly profound shift in consciousness, from being totally lost in your thinking to becoming the awareness behind the thinking. Tolle gives a name to that voice in your head. He calls it the thinker. But here's the secret. That's not you. It's just a conditioned pattern of thought, a collection of old mental habits. The freedom he's talking about begins the very second you realize this separation. You aren't the thoughts. You're the awareness that notices the thoughts. You're the vast, open sky, and the thoughts are just clouds passing through. This is the key practice. This is what you actually do. You just start listening to that voice in your head impartially, kind of like you're listening to the traffic outside. You become a witness to your own mind. And when you do this, you're not judging or condemning your thoughts. You're simply observing. Oh, interesting. There's that worry again. In that moment of just noticing, you activate a deeper intelligence that lies way beyond thought. You literally begin to wake up. And this simple act of witnessing creates a space, a little gap in that constant stream of thinking. Tolle calls this a moment of no mind. And in that gap, there's a stillness and a peace that is your true nature. You're no longer feeding the mind by unconsciously identifying with it, so its power over you starts to get weaker. You're reclaiming your own consciousness from the mind, one moment of presence at a time.
All right, so as we start to practice this watching, this witnessing, we're inevitably going to run into a major obstacle. It's the accumulated residue of every single emotional pain we've ever experienced that we didn't fully face and accept when it first happened. This old emotional energy, it lives on inside of us, just waiting to be triggered. Tolle gives this thing a name. He calls it the pain body. It's like a semi-autonomous energy field made of all this old, unprocessed emotion, grief, anger, fear. Most of the time, it might just lie dormant. But then a trigger, an innocent remark from your partner, a stressful email from your boss, can awaken it. And suddenly, boom, it takes you over completely. You become its puppet, reacting with this intensity that is way out of proportion to the actual situation.
And here's why it's so powerful and so tricky. The pain body wants to survive, and it can only survive if it gets you to unconsciously identify with it. When it takes you over, it subtly manipulates your thoughts to create situations that will generate more pain, because that's its food. Pain can only feed on pain. So it'll provoke arguments, it'll seek out drama, and it will replay those old painful stories in your head, all just to replenish its energy.
But here's the really empowering truth. The pain body is just a phantom. It's insubstantial. It absolutely cannot survive in the light of your conscious presence. The moment you become the watcher of it, the moment you can feel its energy inside you without getting lost in all the thoughts and stories it creates, you break the identification. You shine the light of your awareness on it. You stop feeding it, and it just begins to dissolve.
So, you see, this liberation from the mind and the pain body, it isn't some complex abstract philosophy. It's a state of being that you can access through simple, direct practices. This is all about transforming your everyday life, not just, achieving some temporary state of peace when you meditate for 20 minutes.
What's so powerful about these gateways is just how accessible they are. This isn't about sitting on a mountaintop for 10 years. It's about bringing awareness to what you're already doing. When you're feeling stressed, can you just take one conscious breath? Just feel the air enter and leave your body. That act alone can break the momentum of anxious thought. When you wash your hands, really feel the water, smell the soap. When you walk, feel each step on the ground. These simple acts pull your attention away from all that mental noise and anchor you firmly in the reality of the now.
And this is the ultimate paradigm shift. See, most of us live our lives as if the present moment is some kind of obstacle we have to get through on the way to a better future moment. But Tolle teaches us that the future never arrives. Life is always now. When we stop trying to get somewhere else, we find that everything we were searching for, peace, joy, that feeling of being alive, it's already here, just concealed within this very moment. It changes everything: how you relate to people, how you handle challenges, and just how you experience your own life. So we'll end with this question for you to reflect on. What pain, what unease, what old story are you trying to escape by constantly living in the past or projecting into the future? The practice of the power of now is to simply stop running. It's about turning around to face this moment, fully and without resistance. Because when you do that, you discover that the peace you were so desperately seeking was never in the future, it's right here, in the stillness underneath all the noise, just waiting for you to notice.